Hello Cofield family, I'm Brad Phillips. I'm here with Puppy Steps Training, and I have Al with me here in the crate, just hanging out. We're going to be doing his demonstration for you today. Very excited to send him to you. I think you're going to love him. He is a very great dog. I do want to take just a minute and talk just a little bit about his personality. So Al, like I said, he is super sweet, but he does have a lot of energy. And so his exercise needs have to be met. He needs a good walk, he needs to go out and play. He needs to burn off that energy. If you don't, then you can develop these destructive behaviors such as digging, chewing stuff up, things like that, even escaping. And so making sure that you meet these exercise needs are very important. Al does love to swim, so swimming is a great way to do that. Like I said, going for a walk, playing with him, things of that sort. Also keeping his mind engaged, and so working with him on these commands as well as adding different ones, teaching him tricks, little things like that are very mentally stimulating and will help you out as well. So that's Al. Like I said, super sweet. I'm sure you're excited to get him. So also real quick, I just want to talk about a couple things. First and foremost, it's important to understand that even though you just did the 6 to 8 week training, you have to understand that he is a puppy, and so there is going to be this growing, this maturing phase. He might even try and test the water a little bit, and so it's important for you that in order for all this training to transition over and you to have success is, one, you have to manage your dog, and two, you have to be consistent. And so with consistency, you need to reward as well as correct your puppy. So Al knows the word okay. When he hears that word, he knows he's done a behavior correctly, and there's some type of reward coming. Right now we do use food very heavily. As he gets really consistent or really reliable with these commands, you can start to fade out the food reward. We also use affection as well as toys as a reward. You also do need to correct your dog, and so we use the word no or nope, and I treat that somewhat like a misdemeanor felony type of deal. So regardless, if he does something wrong, he's going to get corrected. However, the severity of that correction depends on the behavior. So if he does something like breaks a stay, very simple, I'm just going to tell him no, and I'm going to have him do it again. And I'm going to make sure that I always end on a correct behavior. Whereas if he does something a little bit worse, like maybe he tries to jump up on me or steal food, I'm going to be a lot more firm in the way that I present that correction. And I do that by adjusting my voice fluctuation as well as my body language. Those two factors a dog reads really well. We only have one type of physical correction that we use at this point, and that is a leash correction. And it's just 2 pops on the leash. You're not trying to yank him backwards or inflict harm in any way. It's just to get his attention so you can help him change the behavior. So that's consistency, making sure that you are consistent, rewarding and correcting, as well as following through, and so, like I said, always ending on that correct behavior. The other side of it is management. Management is really the other half of dog training. You've done all the basic obedience, he knows all these wonderful commands and these manners, and he knows these expectations, but if you don't manage the dog, he's not going to live up to your expectations. And what I mean by that is making sure that he doesn't just have full reign of the house. He doesn't get away with things because he's under constant supervision. And when he is under that constant supervision, you can help him not even develop these negative behaviors like running after something or digging or chewing on something you're not supposed to, because he's right there next to you. And if you can't give him that supervision, put him in a crate. He's fine with that. He's fine to just hang out in there and relax for a couple hours. If you need to be doing something outside, tie him next to you. That way, if he's on that leash or he's contained, he's not going to be getting into trouble. So management, consistency, 2 of the most important things you're going to do for Al, and to make sure that all this training transitions over. So also we'll quickly talk about this transition period. And so as he comes to you, he's in your home, he's going to be undergoing quite a bit of stress. And so it's important that you help him feel confident as well as comfortable. And so for the first day or 2, while he is really stressed, take it easy on the commands. Really focus on building a relationship with him, building this trust. The manners you do need to expect. You can't let him get away with negative behaviors, but you also don't need to really push him and force these elaborate stays, because if you do, you can really ruin him, and you can cause him to shut down, and then you're going to have to go back and kind of rebuild these commands. So help him feel comfortable. Also, during this transition, he's going to get a loose stool. He's going to have to go to the bathroom more frequently. He also may lose his appetite. These are all signs of this transition period. And this will usually last anywhere from a week to 4 weeks. So be patient, enjoy him, build a relationship, and then expect great things out of him. So now we will hop into the bulk of our demonstration. I want to talk real quick about socialization, but then we will pull him out and I'll show you his manners, his obedience commands, his house training, leash training, and crate training. So with socialization, to me that's the most important thing you do with any dog. I want to make sure that he is confident, that he doesn't have any severe anxiety or aggressive or timid behaviors. And so during this socialization phase, we really tried to expose him to a number of different things that can be uncomfortable. Those included different sounds, fireworks, sirens, things like that, different people, animals, textures, just as many new experiences as we possibly could. That way I can see if those negative behaviors can be there and we can really work through them and help him be a well-rounded, confident puppy, which he has done really well with. He seems to just be very, very great, very level-headed. But if you do see something that maybe is throwing him off or he's uncomfortable with, you can really focus on what we call as engagement. And what that is having him sit in front of us, and I want him staring up at me, really engaging with me. And that way we can take whatever is distracting him, whether it be a noise or an object, and I can get him basically to forget about it. He can be staring up at me and I'll jackpot reward him. Okay, good boy, okay. And you're just giving him treats, making it so that he's very involved and in tune with you. So with that, we will proceed and we will go into our manners. So the first one that I am going to show you, or I should say the first two that I am going to show you, are what we consider automatic behaviors. So the first one is coming out of the crate as well as going through the house door. I do expect him to hold a stay. This should be automatic. I shouldn't have to tell him anything. However, going back to that he is a puppy, if he does break at one point, I would simply just close the crate door, lift up my leg and block him. If he was really persistent on pushing his way out, then I might actually tell him no. For the most part, it should be automatic. Okay, good boy. Now, for the first little while he's out in your home, I would have him drag around a leash. That way you can manage him, keep that level of control. And so just take a cheap leash, let him drag around. So the next behavior that I was talking about is another one of those automatic behaviors, and that is his greeting. Al, come here. Before I give him any attention, as I expect him to sit in front of me. Good boy, good boy. So that does a couple things for you. One, it gets his eye contact. You know that now he's focused, he's engaging with you. The other thing it does is it keeps him from jumping. It gives him a job to do, so it's basically a replacement behavior. Good boy, good boy. And then I'll pet him after he presents that greeting. You can see that it's he's got some energy, wants to run out and play, and very happy to do things for you, very eager to please. So now I will show you some mealtime manners. Anytime I feed him, I expect him to hold a sit-stay. So where he just sat down, I will just tell him to stay, no, stay. Okay, good boy. You can see that he started to lean forward, kind of fell off the bed, but he did break, so I just told him no, and I had him do it again. He does like to inhale his food, and so using a slow feeding bowl is great. I also spend time handling him when he eats. I want to make sure that there's no food aggression or resource guarding. Boy. Now we also work on just making sure that there isn't any aggression. We just call it preventative aggression. And so we spend time handling his ears, his paws, his mouth, making sure that he's not going to be aggressive towards me at all. Also spend time handling him when he chews on stuff. So this is a bully stick, very exciting for him as a high value reward. I want to make sure that one, he knows where his teeth are at. He's not getting defensive or aggressive towards me for touching or handling it. I don't know why he's chewing on it. Boy. Drop it. Okay, good boy. You can see with that drop it command, I just expect him to quickly spit it out and look up at me. I'll show you that again. I'll let him chew on it for a second. Let him get comfortable. And I can just tell him, Al, drop it. Okay, good boy. Good boy. Now I expect that same thing with the toy. Good boy. Which I made the mistake of using the bully stick first, and so he's not as interested in the toy as he would be with the bully stick. When I play with him, I actually don't have any food out. Come on. Good boy. You can see, because I've been giving him food, he's not interested in the toys. So when you do play with him, put the food away. Don't have it around you. And then he does love to play, loves his toys. Now we have taught him to be very cautious about his teeth, and so I can tell him gently, and I expect him to be very careful when he takes the food. I don't want to fill his teeth. I can do that same thing with the bully stick, tell him gently. I expect him to be very cautious. Gently. No, gently. I do always give it to him in the palm of my hand. That way I can control the food, and he's not biting my fingers. And if he was a little too mouthy, I can tuck that right behind my thumb, and he can't get it unless he relaxes and allows me to give it to him. Good boy. Good boy. So, going back though with some of this aggression stuff, I want to make sure that he doesn't ever get in trouble, doesn't ever put himself in a situation that can be mistaken for aggression. And usually that happens with kids. Little kids are like the greatest thing to a puppy. They're a giant squeaky toy. They run, they squeal, everything's a lot of fun, and your puppy wants to play along with them, and they end up knocking a kid over, grabbing a pant leg, something that can be mistaken for your dog being aggressive. And so I make a rule that when kids play with my puppy, they have to use a toy. That way, he's going to be more directed at the toy versus grabbing a pant leg. And if you do get someone that's a little bit nervous, they can then throw the toy and direct him away. Want it? Did you get it this time? Come on. Get your toy. Okay. Not going to want it right now, huh? Now, the next two manners are ones that you do need to really set a precedence with, make sure that he understands that you are the leader. You are the alpha in this pack, that he has to listen to you and he has to respect you. And so both of those manners that we work on here are jumping and chewing. So jumping is the big one. You want to make sure that he's not jumping up on you or jumping up on kids or random people in the street. And so we have taught him the command off. And I use that, like I said, if he's jumping up on a person, or if he's jumping up on a couch or a table or anything like that, tell him off and expect him to get down. Now this is one time if I had a hold of the leash and he tried to jump, I'd give him 2 pops on the leash and tell him off and expect him to get down. If he was really trying to jump on someone, you gave him those 2 pops and it didn't even faze him, I would quickly turn around and walk away and remove yourself from the distraction. Allow him to get his focus back on you, and he needs to learn that that is not an appropriate behavior. Now, if he was running up to me and I thought, well, he's going to jump on me, it's important that I don't step backwards. As soon as you step back, you're encouraging him to come. He wants to jump even more. So instead, if you can step into him, one, that restricts his space as well as it causes you to stand your ground. And so you shouldn't even have to deal with him jumping anyway. I mean, he's going to stop because you've thrown his timing off, or it just puts him in an awkward angle. And if he did then jump, I would bring my knee up into his chest and block him. Huh. Good boy. Now the other one that we'll talk about is chewing. So he has to chew. They do. It's a behavior you can't escape. I doubt you can see on the camera. He still has quite a few teeth to lose. And so he's going to have to chew. And he's going to chew on different things based on what he feels like his mouth needs. whether he needs something really to dig into or just something to, relieve a little bit of pressure. And so when we deal with chewing, we teach based on avoiding and replacing. If you can avoid giving him free access to things you don't want chewed up, that's always the best thing to do. However, it's never possible in your home. There's always something he has access to. And so in that case, that's where replacing comes in. And I'm going to replace based on texture. So if he wanted to chew on a soft toy, a soft bed or a pillow, I would tell him no, and I would replace it with something like a soft toy. If he wanted to chew on like a table leg, I'd tell him no, and I'd give him something like a bully stick. Try and match that texture. Wants to chew on shoelaces, give him a rope. If you can match that, you're going to teach him what he's allowed to chew on and what he's not. The other thing is that boredom. If he's bored, it's going to cause destructive behaviors. And so if you do have a time where he's just going to be relaxing, nothing's going on, I will just give him something to chew on. That way I don't have to worry about him finding something that he's not supposed to. As well as if I were to give him something to chew on, like a toy or that bully stick, if he took it, went and started chewing on it for a second, and then got up and left, I would immediately take it away. He does not get free access to his own things. If he does, he's going to get bored with them, and he'll find something else to chew on. So, give him something to do, keep his mind engaged, and you won't get those destructive behaviors. So that concludes our manners, and now we're going to talk about our obedience commands. And the first two that I want to talk about are our most basic commands. And so they're come and watch me. We teach those from day one. They're very important commands. In fact, the come command is not a basic command. It is an advanced command, and at this stage he's doing really well. But you want to make sure that you work on it and you don't burn it out. But the first one is just to get eye contact. You can see that he engages with me really well. And so it might be hard to break his eye contact. But I can have him stare at some food over here. Maybe. Come here, I want to turn your center. Watch me. Okay, good boy. Just like that, looking for his eyes to make eye contact. Watch me. Okay, good boy. Once he does, I'll reward him. Very simple command, but it's really useful because if you can get his eye contact, you can get his attention. And so practice that one quite a bit with food, and that way if you do ever just need him to quickly stop and look at you, you have that ability. Watch me. Okay, good boy. Just like that. So I use his name as kind of a mixture of watch me and come. It's really informal use, but I want his attention, I want him to get excited, but I'm not going to reward him every time I say his name. But I will use his name every time I call him to come. Now, generally with this come command, in my opinion, it's your most important command, but it's one that people burn a lot. And so I have a couple rules with it. And the first one I'm actually going to break just so you can see how I present this come command. And the rule that I'm going to break is I never like to use the come command inside. But for this, which I just lost my opportunity, I'm going to show you how I present the command. Al, come! Okay, good boy. You'll notice that I used a higher pitched voice. I bent down, I made myself appealing. It was very rewarding coming to me. But like I said, in general, don't use the come command inside. You're just going to burn it out. Because usually if you're using it inside, it's because he's like 3 feet away and you either want him to move or come here and you might pet him just for a second. But it's nothing really rewarding, and so he's going to get callous to that word. So instead, if you are in the house, you can make some kissy noises. Al, come here. Something like that. He's going to come running to you. Very in tune to those different pitches. Come here, Al, come here. Something like that. Now, you do want to work on the come command a lot because you want it in place when you need it. And so for that, I want to make sure that when I work on this, I have control. And so I'll start with a long lead, like 20, 30 feet, and I'm just going to let him explore, whether it's in the backyard or out for a walk. Let him run around and just be a dog. And every minute or two, I'll call him to come, to give him a treat, and then let him go again. That way it's really positive. He's checking in, he's getting a reward, but he's also getting to run and play. I do want to make sure that I keep a really positive repetition to this. So do it 10 times for no reason other than to give him a treat. For that one time that maybe you're ending the fun, you're going inside, he's going into a crate, something like that. And do that for a while. Once he's really consistent and turning around and coming back to you, no matter what distraction is out there, then you can take him off leash and start to work on it. Really build that up. But until you know for a fact that he's going to come to you every time, I would not take him off leash. So now I'm going to show you our 3 hand signals. So the first is a sit. It's just a scoop over the nose. Down, I'll take my hand flat and take him down, and then stay as a stop sign. Okay, good boy, good boy. And I don't know that you can see, but he just did all 3 there. But just to show you, I can go sit, down, no, down, stay. Okay, good boy. You can see that he is just so driven that he tries to guess and he tries to cheat me a little bit. But instead of, quickly down, 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 something like that, I'm going to be patient. I'll pull it back. I might tell him no and have him do it again, but I'm not going to sit there and repeat myself. Sit, down. Okay, good boy. And like that, I didn't want him to stay. I said, okay, he was released. Now we do have both a sit and a down stay. And so I just showed you the down stay. The sit stay, I don't care if he lays down. However, if he's in a down stay, he's not allowed to come up. You can see that he just absolutely wants to be working. He wants to figure out what you want. That's those little noises that you're hearing. Come here. Sit. Stay. Okay, good boy. So with his motivation, you should be able to really expand on these stays and add new things, add new distractions. And so we add what we call the 3 Ds, and that's distance, duration, distraction. Those 3 things build a solid stay. And he does pretty good. Sometimes he just gets so excited that he can't handle it. That's when he starts making noise. He is just very, very driven to be doing something. So the next 2 commands don't necessarily have hand signals, but I always put myself in a position where he can read my body language. So for instance, Al, come here, crate. I'm going to be standing near the crate, tell him to go in. If he hesitates, okay, good boy. I can tap the top. Crate, good boy. My crate won't stay open. Okay, good boy. Okay. You're okay, come on. Okay, come on. Good boy. Now very similar, I can tell him, come here. Al, go to bed. And I don't care what position he's in, as long as all 4 paws are on the bed, and he is expected to stay until released. Okay, good boy. Go to bed. Good boy. And now the last one, let's set him up here, is the leave it command. And so when we work on this, especially outside, I do like to have a hold of the leash in case he tries to cheat me. I can give him just a little bit of pressure. But I'm going to drop some food here. Want him a little, no, come here. Want him a little bit closer. And I'm going to release him. Okay, leave it. Good boy, good boy. See how he just quickly turned away from the food? Which I don't know, maybe he won't be able to see that right there. But I'm going to walk past it now. Come on, come here. Leave it. Good boy. See, I want him just to avoid it. I don't want him to try and grab it at all. Instead, I should be able to go down and pick it up. When you're working on this with something you don't want to touch, I'll tell him leave it, and I'll give him a little pressure and walk on. And that's also why I don't let him have the treat off the floor, because I don't want him to think that, after a minute or 2 he can go and get it. He might do the same thing with something dead on the side of the road. So leave it means leave it permanently. So if you do have any questions with any of this, please don't hesitate to give me a call. But that concludes our manners. So we're going to talk about his crate training, then his house training and leash training. And I'm also going to give him something to chew for a second. because he is in working mode right now. Gently. No? Gently. Good boy. So, the crate. We've spent a lot of time on the crate. He absolutely hated the crate. And it took quite a bit longer for him to relax in there. Every once in a while he still will kind of whine if you're nearby. But he is, for the most part, sleeping through the night. You know, I think in the last week, maybe even 2 weeks, he might have had to been let out twice in the middle of the night. For the most part, he's sleeping through the night. We put him in there about 10 and get him out at 6. He's also been doing, I want to say, 3 hours at a time, 3-hour blocks. Very easily to work that up. And when he's in the crate, so those 3 hours, he shouldn't be whining and he shouldn't have any accidents. Now, it's important to remember that this transition, so these first couple of days or even a couple of weeks, he is going to be under stress. And so if you did put him in the crate and he's been silent for, you know, over an hour, maybe even over half hour, and all of a sudden he starts whining real heavily, he might need to go to the bathroom. And so what I would do is I would actually tell him hush, wait for him to be quiet, and then let him out. And we'll run out, go to the bathroom, but then I'm going to put him right back in. And what I'm doing there is, one, I want him to stop crying, but then I also want him to understand that I'm only letting him go to the bathroom and then he's going back in. That whining is not a way to get my attention and have me let him out. Now, if you just barely put him in the crate and he immediately starts to whine, at that point you have to ignore him. If you feel bad for him and then let him out, then you've just created a whole new problem, because now he thinks, oh, this person, if I whine, they're going to let me out. And so instead you have to ignore him. You can give him something to help him settle down, something like a bully stick or a marrow bone. That way he can chew on it and just relax. The other thing I'll do is cover the crate with a blanket. Dogs are a denning animal. They like it to be dark and secluded. But he has done really well with the crate. But like I said, that stress will cause him to cry a little bit, whether it be because he needs to go to the bathroom or maybe he's just anxious because you just left and he's still uncomfortable. But ignore it, maybe give him a break, but then put him back in. But make sure that you don't let him out while he's crying. Otherwise, he's going to think that you will let him out every time he starts to cry. But he's been doing really, really well with it. So, along with that, so like I said, we put him to bed at 10 and get him up at 6. We really kind of coincide his meal times. We want to make sure that, one, I give him enough time to clear his system before he goes in the crate, as well as we feed him breakfast after he comes out. So, you know, about 6:37 in the morning, I'll give him about a cup and a half of food, ask him to do that siste, and then I'll give him another cup and a half at right around 6 in the evening. That gives him a good 4 hours to clear his system before he goes in the crate. You will also want to regulate his water. If he's outside, you know, running around, doing anything like that, I want to give him plenty of water, make sure he doesn't get dehydrated. But when he's in the house, I don't want him drinking a whole bunch of water, because then he's going to have to pee even more. And especially during this transition, he's already going to have to pee quite a bit. So, you know, give it to him with meals, maybe like 3 or 4 other times throughout the day, but make sure it's taken away by like 8 p.m. As well as right before you put him into the crate for the night, I would let him outside, let him run, throw a ball for him, you know, try and get some of that energy out, as well as that'll help him go to the bathroom before you put him in. If you can wear him out, he's always going to be better in the crate because he'll be tired. So now I'm going to show you how we teach, or how we house train. So he's been doing really well with the house training, but this is something that you have to be consistent with and that you have to put the time in. If you don't, he's not going to make the connection that you expect the same thing as I do. And so when I start out with this, let me find a set of bells. I basically want to make sure that I get plenty of repetitions. Drop it. Good. I want to make sure I get plenty of repetitions so that he sees the bells and he understands that they mean the same thing at your home as they do for me. So first, we're just going to target him. I'm just going to stand here, stare at the bells. Okay, every time he touches it, I'm going to give him a treat. The way he gets excited about them. And I'll have him touch them like 4 or 5 times. Okay, good boy. I'm directing all of my attention to the bells, not giving him any eye contact. Okay, good boy. Like this, I drop that treat, so he gets super distracted. I'm going to ask him to sit again, and then I'm going to stare at the bells again. Okay, good boy. Okay, good boy. Now once he's ringing them consistently off of my hand, then I'm going to take him over to the door, and I'm going to do the same thing, except for I'm going to change the wording just a little bit. And so I'll start emphasizing, okay, outside. Okay, outside. Okay, outside, good boy. So now I'm going to take him out. Okay, outside, good boy. No, I do want him to wait at the doorway. Okay, good boy. Okay. Now when I take him outside, I'll give him maybe a minute or two to sniff around, find a spot to go to the bathroom. If he pees really quick, I'll give him another, minute just to see if he needs to go number 2. When he does go, be super positive. Okay, get outside, good boy. Treat him, make it so it's exciting and worthwhile. But if I were doing this at your home, I would turn around and have him ring the bells again right off the bat. Okay, good boy. Just like that. And take him back outside. And I would do that like 3 or 4 times. That way, I'm getting plenty of repetitions of him ringing the bells and going out to the area where you want him to go to the bathroom. You want a lot of repetitions to really ingrain that into his head, where the bells are, where he's going to the bathroom, and then it means the same thing. Now, after you do that little exercise, this is where the management comes in. If you do not manage him, you cannot house train him. You have to give him 100% supervision. And what I will do is, so I want that 100% supervision, and the first day, 24 hours, I'll take him over every 30 minutes. Have him ring the bells, go out to the bathroom. If he goes, great, reward him, praise him. If he doesn't go, come right back in. The exception is if he's in the crate. You don't need to let him out every 30 minutes during the night or when he's in the crate. After the first 24 hours, the next 24 hours, do 45 minutes. And then build to an hour. Stay at an hour for a couple days. And then go to 2 hours. So 2 hours is my standard that every puppy should be able to hold themselves. I know that he can go longer, but I don't want to push it. For the next month, I do not want him to ever have an opportunity to have an accident in my home. And so direct supervision, he's never pushing longer than 2 hours. If you can't give him that supervision, put him in the crate. Now, I can't stress that 100% supervision enough, because if he sneaks off and you don't see him and he goes to the bathroom, there is nothing you can do. Whereas if you are supervising him and he starts to pee in front of me, I'll click like, no, and I'm going to grab him and run him outside. And the goal is he should stop peeing if he's already started, and he knows that he just got corrected for peeing on the floor, but then you take him outside and he gets rewarded for peeing out there, then he starts to see, oh, I got corrected in there, rewarded out here. And it gives you a good opportunity. Not that you want him to have an accident, but you can take advantage of that misfortune. But look for signs that he does need to go to the bathroom. If he starts sniffing really heavily, or if he starts spinning circles, or if he just woke up, or just ate, those are good indicators that he does need to go to the bathroom. So now we're going to talk about his leash work. So we take him on 2 different types of walks. The first is that off-leash or long lead walk. Until I know that he's going to come back to me when called, he is not allowed off-leash. But we take him on those types of walks almost every morning just to really burn some energy. Of course, we have the luxury that we can walk right out the back door and we go over into some fields and out to a lake. And so every morning we take him on that off-leash walk, let him run, just burn that energy. when we do that type of walk, we really work on that come command. He says they'll start with a long lead. Every minute or two, call him to come, give him a treat, let him go again. That way you're really working on it, and it's positive and he's having fun. And then progress to where he's allowed off leash. And the second type of walk is our attention walk. And so this is a very basic heel. As he gets older, you can start to apply some pressure and really teach him to do a strict heel. But at this stage, we want to keep everything positive. I want him to have a good experience on the leash. So what I do is I have two commands. The first one is let's go, signifying that we're moving. And so I'll tell him that when we start, as well as when I make corners. And then easy if he starts to pull. If he does start to pull, I'm going to immediately stop, plant myself, and I will give him that leash correction. And so we're actually going to go outside, and hopefully it's not too hot yet. I'll show you that walk on the road, what my expectations are. Let's go. So when I start this type of walk, come here. It might be hot the way he's not wanting to sit. So I'm not going to force him. Usually if it's cool, I will have him sit, but where it is getting warm this morning, there you go. But that way I just have his attention, and then you can watch the way that he focuses on me, how I have him next to me. I will periodically give him a reward when he's looking up at me. Let's go. Go. Good boy. Let's go. Now I like to really shorten his lead because you can see how focused he is. He really stares at me. And that way if I have it shortened, he can't get in front of me. If he starts walking too far in front of me, I will either lean in or apply just a little bit of pressure. And so I can kind of show you what that looks like. Let's go. So now he's not going to walk into me, but what I would do is I would just give him a little pressure out, just like that. Come here. Good boy. So if you do have any questions, please don't hesitate, let me know. I'm sure you're excited to get him, and he really is. He's a good dog, just has a lot of energy. So thanks again. Bye.